What's up guys, Houndish here, and we're back with some weekly news, and today we're trying a new series called D2 NewsWeekly, where we take on some of the Destiny news stories which populate gaming news sites and articles. And this is a pretty good opportunity to touch on some of the conversation that isn't from the mainstreams like Bungie.net or social media, as well as staying updated on the developments in bigger news stories or announcements. I guess as a kind of newspaper analysis for the week, if you like. And so let us know if you think this will be worth continuing, but without further delay, let's get to it. And initially for this week, of course, the main news story comes from this week at Bungie, and have now outlined the weapon focus changes for the anniversary or December 7th update. And the quick rundown includes that for exotics, we're going to see buffs for the Fighting Lion, Arbalist, Sleeper Simulant, Soros Regime, Cryesthesia 77k, Leviathan's Breath, Whisper of the Worm, and Darcy. And then a few nerfs as well, so Lorentz Driver, Heir Apparent's Catalyst, the Vex Mythoclast, and Traveler's Chosen. And of course a bunch of us wondered why Traveler's Chosen was being adjusted. And so DMG responded that an abilities tuning Twab is planned soon, and Traveler's Chosen circumvented some of the work being done. So he's essentially saying that that change has been made alongside some ability tuning that we've yet to hear about. So it'll be interesting to see what that's going to entail. And if you want the full breakdown of weapon changes that Bungie have announced, I'll link my video down below. Additionally though, with the conversation around exotic weapons, Chris Proctor from the Sandbox team at Bungie was on the most recent episode of the Destiny Community podcast, and he says Bungie currently have a plan to add unobtainable catalysts for weapons like Whisper of the Worm into activity pools like other exotics in the Witch Queen. So if there are any catalysts that are currently unobtainable that you want, hopefully they'll be added to those pools in February with the expansion. But also to note this week is a calendar change in Bungie say, with Trials Labs Capture Zone coming back this weekend, bonus Trials ranks will come with it, and as a result, extra Nightfall rewards have been shifted to next week. And also next week, on Tuesday, November 16th, D2 will undergo extended downtime once again, starting at 5:45 AM Pacific, running up until 9 AM Pacific, meaning the servers will be offline for a couple of hours leading up to the weekly reset time. But now moving on to wider Destiny news for the week, we have an article from Natalie Clayton at PCGamer.com, and it's titled "Stop Being Mean About Destiny 2's Fashion Mag, or Bungie Will Cancel It." And you may have seen on Twitter Bungie's latest Threads of Light magazine, basically a Destiny fashion magazine where players can submit images of their funky looking Guardians. And the article says yesterday Bungie posted the 3 cover looks for Volume 2 of Threads of Light, but the writer says maybe they're not what they call the strongest examples of Destiny fashion. However, some comments on the post were a fair bit harsher, with replies and quote retweets blasting the selection. And so in a later tweet, community manager Griffin Bennett felt the mean-spirited comments were so rough that it might cause Bungie to rethink running these kinds of community shoutouts. And he said if the reaction to these spotlights continues to be toxic and negative while putting down others' creations, we'll stop doing these altogether. And he went on to say that fashion is art, taste is subjective. Imagine coming into the replies and insulting someone's art, something that he finds mind-bogglingly inappropriate. And so obviously a bit of a frustrated answer right there from Bungie, but it does seem a little bit salty to attack others because you haven't been selected. And let us know what you think down below, but I think it'd be a big shame for Bungie to stop doing it purely because folks are being toxic. In other news though, Jared Carvello from Game Rant covered one of the recent Bungie bounties, stating that Destiny streamer Leopard trolled the Bungie bounty in the best way. Of course there have been a handful of Bungie bounties already, but the article says when streamer Leopard was chosen to be the target of the Bungie bounty on November 8th, the content creator decided to prepare for any viewers that might have wanted to join in during the stream, and the trick itself came down to playing a pre-recorded video of waiting on the mode selection screen for the Crucible while he was actually already queuing up for the first match of the bounty window, which meant players were essentially queuing at the wrong time and Leopard had already found a game, but instead was playing a clip of him searching for a game. And given the sentiment of the Bungie bounty and the trolling that inevitably happens to Bungie bounties, I'd say it's kind of in the spirit of one of those events, but give us your thoughts down below. Game Rant also recently claimed that Destiny 2's FPS-based damage is ruining the experience. Then they point out that the user Useless Dead Memes shared the findings of the FPS issue not long ago, pointing out that higher performing PCs are being punished for the game having more FPS than others, which causes some enemy types to scale damage faster, hitting attacks more based on higher FPS. And this issue seems to affect the game at higher than 120 frames and up to 160 FPS. However, with a lower frame rate at around 60 FPS, it doesn't seem to be an issue. And then it was also suggested that lower FPS can affect outgoing damage in PvP, noting instances where bow shots or hand cannon shots were doing more damage than usual at random. So it is a bit of a mysterious one right there. The article claims that Bungie are oblivious to the glitch. Although that isn't quite true, DMG did suggest that at least for Cabal slug launchers, which is one of the weapons that Bungie have identified is affected by that higher FPS rate, are going to be fixed in the December update. But he says they're also investigating the additional times that can happen. And so hopefully it'll be something that they get fixed pretty soon. Paul Tassi at Forbes also pointed out Telesto Report, a website dedicated to tracking the times that Telesto has broken Destiny 2, and the headline is that Telesto has broken D2 38 times and counting. And they collect bug reports from all over the place, be it official Bungie announcements or new findings that players post on Reddit or things like that. And so at the time of making this video, it has been 0 days, 1 hour and 1 minute and 45 seconds since the last Telesto bug. But it has a breakdown of all of the previous bugs, such as Telesto bolts persisting if they one-shot an enemy, Telesto stopping projectile-based supers, Telesto enabling itself while disabled, generating lots of orbs of power, killing enemies through the floor, and the list goes on and on. Pretty cool website to check out right there, so I'll link it down below. Very quick random thing right here, but in the Clovis Bray room in Creation on Europa, of course there are the Braytech frames that protect the area, and Destiny News Plus shared a clip from Professor Lankto from Reddit, where after throwing a stasis grenade on the giant Exo's head, the Braytech frame decides to pull out Galahorn to remove it. The funniest thing is the frames fire a couple of shots at it with automatic weapons first, and when that doesn't yield results, they simply nuke it with a rocket launcher. They must have taken a few tips from the Guardians there. And finally, there's a conversation starter from Paul Tassi at Forbes about Destiny 2 pinnacle weapons that should be unsunset, as well as those that shouldn't. This could be a divisive conversation, but he reckons Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten should be unsunset, especially given that they were nerfed a little bit a while back, and now there are other archetypes that can hold their own to those weapons. It's an interesting one. I wouldn't be personally opposed to it, as long as those weapons weren't absolutely broken upon return, although Bungie would possibly have to create new ways to acquire them for newer players. The article also suggests that Redrick's broadsword should return, as well as Randy's throwing knife and the Komodo, especially as you get into the more ritual weapons like Breakneck, 21% Delirium. It tends to be a yes, but it's a bit more of a hard no for weapons like Mountaintop, and also Recluse. So what do you guys think? Would you be interested in pinnacle weapons being reprised, or do you think Bungie should just focus on new stuff going forward? Opinions will definitely be mixed on this one, so give us your thoughts as always in the comments section. And for today, guys, those are some of the main beats outside of the mainstream news sources for Destiny. So bearing in mind this is a slightly quieter week, we'll definitely get juicier news weeks. So let us know if you think the format could work for a video every week. And if you've enjoyed it, a rating down below very much helps us out. Really curious to get that feedback from you guys. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.